Mr. Brown, has the meeting been properly advertised?
Yes, sir.
Thumbs up from my IT people back there. All right. Thank you, sir. We asked Mr. Mosley, he will lead us in our invocation and our pledge. Please stand for invocation and pledge.
I'd like to say good evening to everyone. Let's pray. Gracious God, we thank you for all your blessings. As we think about this Thanksgiving season, we are always thankful and grateful for the bountiful blessings that you bestow upon us. We ask for your divine wisdom for this body, Father God, as they deliberate the business of this community. And Father God, we pause and want to say a special prayer, Father God, for our coroner, Mr. Pierce, and the homegoing of his wife. These are all the blessings we thank in your darling Son, Jesus the Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. I apologize, I think his first name, the Speaker of the House passed away, so we want to keep Mr. Ralston's family in prayer too. I think, I said that to you, they want to start doing the flag at half-mast until his funeral service. So send thoughts and prayers out to that, and others who we may not know. Proclamations and awards. Proclamation, America Recycles Day. So if that team will come forward, Mr. Brown will read the proclamation, but the team is kind of
tonight. You're doing well, so we won't make it. Well, come on, stand with me.
she's convalescing from knee surgery.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
We are so honored to be here. November is the month that we talk about and make aware of recycling throughout our community. Here in Liberty County, we are so excited to say that our day is November the 19th, and this is where we are taking back tires for free. That's household tires, no commercial tires, and you have to live here in Liberty County. We're taking about shred, so if you have any items that you need to be shred, like letters or something with your social security number on it or personal information, you can take it to Midway. That's also where the tires would be, collection would be in Midway, Liberty County Community Complex in Midway. For medicine, clothing, we are about 400 pairs short of shoes. So if you look in your closets, look in that shed, see if you have any shoes that you may want to give away. We're collecting shoes and clothing for missions here in Liberty County, our surrounding areas, and some shoes also will make it to third world countries where there can be used to have make income for people can use for income. We also take back old medicine. So if you have old medicine, we just don't take needles and liquids and creams, but old medicine, the old saying of throwing it down the commode or throwing it in the trash, when they started seeing fish with 3 heads and 5 eyes, they decided we better do another way of disposing it. We also take in paints, just make sure that it's halfway full and no rust on the top. Cell phones, electronics, anything that you would give away to Goodwill, you can bring to us November the 19th at the Liberty County Community Complex. That's where the truck for the shred and the tires from 9 to 1, or Walterville City Hall, everything else from 9 to 1, and then your tires in Midway from 9 to 3. We thought we'd give them a couple of extra hours with them tires, and that's from 9 to 3. Just be mindful that recycling is one way we keep things out of our landfill, and that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you, ma'am.
And Mr. Chairman, this is a proclamation for America Recycles Day in Liberty County. Each year, the United States generates more than 258 million tons of municipal solid waste. That's more than 4 pounds per person per day. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, our nation has reached an overall recycling rate of 34.6%. Each year, our national recycling rate sends 89 million tons of material to useful second life instead of the landfill, saves the same amount of energy consumed by over 10 million U.S. households in a year, avoids greenhouse gas emissions equivalent to removing more than 38 million cars from our roads, generates 757,000 jobs, and $36.6 billion in wages. But much more can be done. We're asked to focus the nation's attention on the importance of recycling. Businesses, industries, government agencies, nonprofit organizations, and individuals have joined together to celebrate America Recycles Day and are encouraging friends, neighbors, and coworkers to pledge to learn more about recycling options in their community and commit to recycle more materials every day of the year. Whereas participating in America Recycles Day 2022 is one way citizens can help raise awareness about the economic and environmental benefits of reducing waste by reusing, recycling, and buying recycled content products. And whereas Liberty County, Georgia leaders can also use this as an opportunity to spread the word about the excellent recycling programs that have been established, the growth of the markets for recycled materials, and the importance of buying and job-creating recycled products. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Donald L. Lovett, Chairman of the Liberty County Board of Commissioners, this Saturday, November 19th, 2022, is hereby proclaimed as America Recycles Day in Liberty County, Georgia, resolved the 17th day of November, 2022.
And we invite all our commissioners, if you are able to come out and say hi to us out there, we appreciate it. She can do it.
Come on, all right. You made it without you?
And we hope you enjoy our gifts. Thank you.
Yeah, she brought us a little takeaways.
Was he hiding?
He said he had a camera that breaks.
Thank you. See you. Thank the team for coming. It's pretty much her large component of her Relay for Life team too. I see you out there. All righty, Health Fair Awards.
Ms. Chairman, Ms. Laura Troutman's coming, the HR Director. Each year the county she helped sponsor and put on, along with some tremendous partners, a very successful health fair. So she's going to give you an update on that. We're going to recognize those partners.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So we had our annual employee health fair last month, over 3 days. And I just want to take a moment tonight to recognize the community health partners that helped make that possible. Without them, we could not have done over 150 biometric screenings, 146 immunizations, and 81 cardiovascular screenings, and lots of giveaways and goodies. So we have some certificates of appreciation to give out. And I just want to say our well-being program is a valuable benefit for our employees. And this is due in no small part to professionals such as these partners who are willing to offer their time and expertise. It's on a volunteer basis, basically. They come and donate their time and their services for the betterment of our employees. And by working together with them, we know that we're making our community healthier, not just our workforce. So we appreciate your support, and we look forward to working with you again next year. And I'm going to call you up and give you a certificate, and if you would get a picture, please, Joseph. Liberty Regional Medical Center, we had Mia Wilson and her staff. CEO of Liberty Regional is here also. Alex Tucker and Bradley Gay from Hinesville Pharmacy could not be here tonight due to their work schedules, but I did tell them. Give them a shout out on Facebook Live. So, thank you,
Give them a
Hinesville
shout out.
Pharmacy. And last but not least, I would like to thank Gypsy Tart with UGA Extension Office for coming and having a. And that is all. Thank you.
Give all of them a hand. Thank you, partners. Thank you, Laura, and your staff for doing a great job with that every year. Great job. Appreciate that. Commissioner Maxie Jones asked me to inform the public that he would be here, but because of work duties, he's not able to be here, certainly. Not just absent, but he wanted to make sure that everyone know that his thoughts are here right now with us, but because of work concerns, he can't be here. He has to be excused. 2023 Millage public hearing. Chair, entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
Second.
All in favor, show of hands. All right, non-public hearing.
Okay. This isn't exciting as our HR director, who does an awesome job, by the way. Great. So this is our last public hearing on the Liberty County proposed 2022 millage rate. We've had 2 other public hearings. We'll have this last one, give the public time to actually ask questions or comment, and then you will adopt your millage rate right after that. So I want to remind everyone what our total general fund has done over the past several years and how we got to where we are right now. So you can see how it's grown over the past few years. And within this increased budget, I specifically wanted to zero in on the largest functions of the budget to include public safety, general government, and judicial. So the public safety here is in the red. And you can see over the last 3 years what public safety has done. In 2020, our total public safety, which includes all of your law enforcement, your fire services, your EMS, your 911, your coroner, those are your public safety areas. So you can see in 2020, it was about 12 million combined. In 2023, we've more than doubled in public safety. And you all are aware of the commitment that you made to public safety, both in standing up a full-time firefighting service countywide, and what it's taken to get there, and this is our last and final year of it. Of course, we took over EMS last year, so this will be a whole year of EMS. And then when the new sheriff came in, we expanded his force as well significantly. So all in all, everything together was more than 100 new employees, more expenses, more budgets, more everything. So I just wanted to remind everyone of the commitment that the board has made to public safety and why the increase in the millage rate is needed. I also wanted to give you a little snapshot of what fund balance has done over those years. You'll see the total fund balance is in the blue and the undesignated unreserved fund balance in the green. In the last couple of years, we increased, which is good because we need it now. Let's look at the digest. The gross digest is in the purple. The net digest is in the blue, and here are your exemptions. Our net digest this year is at $1,154,000,000. That means 1 mil countywide generates about $154 million. Okay? Or I'm sorry, $1.54 million, not $154 million. 1.5, otherwise we'd be sitting real pretty.
Want to check it out?
$1.54 million.
Bankers enough.
Yeah, okay. I wanted to just kind of identify the exemptions for you and the rate of our exemptions. And we know that Liberty County is an exemption-rich county. And you can see over the years how those continue to increase. And this definitely impacts your net digest that you actually generate bills on. Last year it was 331 million, now it's 381 million. What are those exemptions? Here they are. The largest of the exemptions are the disabled veteran, which makes up about 28% of your exemptions, and the Freeport, which is about 47% of your total exemptions. Let's look at what the millage rate has done. We have two millage rates for the county. We have the county millage rate for the unincorporated citizens and the citizens in all the municipalities with the exception of Hinesville. And then we have the county millage rate for the Hinesville residents. That has remained flat for the past few years, and we are proposing to keep it at 14.8. The other millage rate for the unincorporated and other municipalities is going to increase from 16.6 to 17.4. 0.8 mils, okay? 0.8 mils for a budget that has increased. Last year's budget was about 42 million. This year's budget is more than 48 million. So you've had an increase of more than $6 million to your overall general fund budget, and we're only going up 0.8 of a mil. It's pretty good. Let's talk about the digest growth, the real growth versus the reassessed growth. The real growth is in the green, and the reassessed growth is in the yellow. We've had tremendous growth, but we also had a tremendous increase in our budget. In the years where we've had negative reassessed growth, that's where properties are actually devalued, decrease in value. And this year, where we had negative real growth, that means something was actually taken off the digest. Real property was taken off the digest, and as I mentioned before, I believe that was back when the housing on Fort Stewart was taken off. House Bill 489 talks about a rollback for duplicated services, and that is why we have two different millage rates. The citizens of Hinesville pay for certain services on their city bill that they should not have to turn around and pay for again on their county tax bill. These are some of those services. So the county pays into LCPC. We support the library. We pay into Wright Army Airfield. We pay into the Chamber of Commerce. All of these activities that the county contributes to, so does the city of Hinesville. So as a citizen of Hinesville, I shouldn't have to pay for those services twice. So for that reason, we do a rollback, and that is why the rate for the citizens of Hinesville is less than the rate for everyone else. Now let's just do a little reconciliation. When I take the unincorporated digest and I multiply it by the 17.4 mils, it generates about $8.2 million in revenue. I take the incorporated other digest, that's all the smaller cities combined together, and I apply the 17.4, it generates about 5.5 million. Then the incorporated Hinesville's digest, of course, you see that's where most of the activity is and most of the digest resides, and I apply the 14.8, it generates a little more than $11 million. Total digest is 1.54 billion, and then the total revenue generated will be 24.8 million. Here's our general fund budget that we started with, the 48.4 million. We back out all of the other revenues other than property taxes. What we need is 28 million. What we're going to be generating is 24 million, estimated to have a $4.2 million shortfall. We've already identified some expenses in the general fund budget specifically related to one-time purchases, either in the way of funding the shortfall in the pension defined benefit plan or capital items. So once we back those out, it's a little bit more than 2.6 million. We'll only be about maybe $2 million short, maybe a little less. Again, in a $48 million budget, if you hold the line on expenses and any other revenues come in over, I'd say you you've got a good chance of coming in with not using all of that in fund balance, but only using a portion. We have put this out to the other departments. We have met with some of them. We're continuing to meet with some of them because some of the cuts that we've made to get to this amount, and there were cuts, will be identified. And as soon as you adopt the millage, tomorrow I'll be sending out that information to those departments that originally thought that they were either going to get new personnel or new capital items in January that are going to be eliminated. Not everything, but we went through that list as we worked on these things. To give an overall summary of what that means in dollars, so in Hinesville, if you have a $150,000 home, last year you paid $888. This year you'll pay the same. Again, these examples are based on the fact that your property value has remained the same. If your assessed value went up, your property taxes will go up. That's in any year, in any time. But if your property has remained the same value and we keep the same millage rate, you should not see a property tax increase. And for a $250,000 home, it's the same thing. This is weird. I think that was a typo. That should be $1,480, so I apologize for that. So in the unincorporated and the other cities where we're increasing the millage rate, on a $150,000 home is a $48 increase. On a $250,000 home, there's an $80 increase. And that's just on your county taxes. But I know in the past, Commissioner Walden has said, well, give me the total picture. What's the big picture to include everybody? Because that's what really matters. So here are those. For the Hinesville, $150,000 home, county taxes will stay the same. The Board of Education actually reduced their millage rate from 15.9 to 15.25. So you'll have a savings of $39. The city of Hinesville also went down too. You'll have a savings of $12. So in the city of Hinesville, if your property value remained the same, you'll actually have a savings. Thank you, Board of Education, and thank you, City of Hinesville. On the $250,000 home, you'll have an $85 savings. Now, when we look outside the City of Hinesville, in the unincorporated area and the other municipalities, you've got an increase in property taxes for the county of $48, a decrease of $39 in property tax for the Board of Education, so your overall increase on a $150,000 home is $9. And for a $250,000 home, that increase is $15. When you look at it that way, it's a little bit more palatable. And that's all I have, unless somebody has any specific questions for me. I know you've seen this twice before, but I don't know if you've had time to talk to anybody out in the public or if they've asked you questions or if I can answer anything.
I can honestly say they haven't, Kim.
Okay.
So you've done a good job of presenting each time. Commissioners, before we go to the public, do you all have any questions?
Mr. Chair, only thing I've got to mention is that we need to take a look at our collection on timber tax after cut from the meeting that you and I attended the other night. You wanna?
The new system that went into effect a few years ago with timber, where they have to do the reporting, there still seems to be a problem from what we can hear statewide about that. And it's kind of hard to police. You almost need someone who's just monitoring that to ensure that the taxes are being paid properly. So we heard that in the meeting of the ACCG meeting, but it's not just Liberty, there's other counties too. But one of the counties we talked to, that's kind of how they are able to better manage it. They have someone who is a watchdog just for that. So we might need to talk about doing something a little different to ensure that we get those taxes. Now, every now and then, it'll look good. Now, and you reminded me too, every now and then too, we'll get a check from Fort Stewart.
Every blue moon.
Yeah.
Every few years.
Yeah. But not this year. Okay. All right. Because the agreement is when the military does timbering, the county, that the timbering is done, it also gets to share in that pot. If there's overage, you know, the idea is they have to make sure their costs are covered. Then if there's overage, then they'll share it with the county from which the timber was taken. Yeah. Thank you. All right, general public, this is your time to share or ask any questions. We don't mind you asking questions. We have the subject matter experts in the house. Oh, hello, sir. How are you? I'm good. You want to come to the microphone? Please do. Identify yourself and.
Been a long time since I had an opportunity to come and speak. Is that right there?
Yes, it is.
Well, Bob, you can come anytime you get ready. I know that, but I don't like to bother y'all very often. You ain't gonna bother me. I can come down to your house if I need to bother you. I'll drive you up here. First of all, I think y'all doing a good job being good stewards of the taxpayer money. I'm not here to beat you up on what you're doing. What I'm here to talk about just briefly is that when an average fixed income person, which I am now, which I'm finding out it's a little harder to do than what I imagined when I retired. I didn't realize how hard it was when you don't have anything extra coming in. And when you don't fit into the categories of our rich exemptions that we have and can't take advantage of hardly anything. When our taxes do go up, it makes it difficult. When you work hard all your life and you're able to accumulate a nice house, you're able to accumulate a decent lifestyle, which I was able to and could afford it, I can tell you right now, in 3 to 5 years, I'm gonna have to leave Liberty County. I can't do it anymore. I'm being taxed out of my house, my property. I'm sorry to say that. I've done the math. If it keeps going, you can say what you will, but you can say with what Ms. Kim said, if it's $150,000 or $250,000 a house, your taxes didn't go up. But I haven't found a year yet where my property didn't go up. I live in the city of Hinesville. And when your property values go up, your taxes go up. And it gets difficult. And I find hard to believe that majority of the people's properties don't go up. I haven't seen, in a few years ago, property values did go down. But we've been on an up curve. Now, it may start going down again, or it may not. Other problem I have, I'd like to point out to you that I didn't hear, with the passing of the 2 new exemptions statewide that we have, we're going to lose about between $200 and $300 million off our digest. I know it's a $1 billion, $1.5 billion, but that's still going to make a difference because our timber people are not going to have to pay taxes on their equipment and stuff. And so that's going to come back on the people that are paying taxes and affect us a little bit more. What I'm asking is that at some point that you think outside the box. Think outside the box. I'm not saying that you can do much about what you're doing because you've got to pay for your ambulances. You've got to pay for your fire. You got to pay for your police. You're doing the best you can. You only got so many people you can tax. So you got to do what you're doing. I understand. So I'm not saying that you got to cut your taxes because the money's got to come from somewhere. But one place that I have researched and I understand that they're doing is, and you don't control this, but it's something that's explored, maybe, is in the school taxes for true seniors. I'm not talking about a 65-year-old senior. I'm talking maybe about a 70 or 72 or even a 75-year-old senior. Doing away with school taxes, just similar to what McIntosh does, McIntosh County, where a true senior, 70 years old, 72 years old, 70-year-olds, eliminate school taxes for them. That could make a huge difference in someone that is truly in a fixed income that could help them. I'm saying, can you start thinking about outside the box where it can help someone that is in a true fixed income that cannot work outside of their retirement at a point in their life to help make a difference? That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm bringing forth to. That it becomes a burden at some point. I love Liberty County. I worked here a long time. I admire each and every one of you. I know what you're doing, but it's getting hard. Thank y'all very much for the opportunity just to say that.
Did you share the comment with about the school tax with the school board?
Not yet, but the point being is you're setting the millage, and I did want to come here and say that to y'all because you're the big guys on the block. Y'all drive the train, so to speak. Now, they drive the train on that,
Yes, they
of
do.
course.
Yeah.
But there may be something else that I'm not aware of, or there's something that y'all may be able to do at some point in your lives.
But please at least reach out to your school board member with that.
Yes, I plan to. But I did want to come here and
Yes,
say
sir.
that.
Yes, sir. Good to see you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? All right. Commissioners, it's your last opportunity then before we close the, well, you guys can speak now. We'll take a motion to,
Before we do it, I just want to say something. Again, it's not a question, but it's more of a statement as well. And just going off of what Mr. Sprinkle just discussed. First of all, thank you for your service from the county and also your military service as well. But what he's saying is totally right. It's time for us as a board, as a commission, to start thinking outside of the box. We really have focused on the last couple of years heavily on public safety. It was something that was needed, but also there's other things that are also as equal important in Liberty County. And whenever we're spending, we can't expect to build a larger house and keep our mortgage payment the same. It just doesn't happen like that. But what we can do is start thinking outside of the box and focusing more on economic development. And I don't want to sit here and say that it's a state of emergency in Liberty County, but in my personal opinion, it's very short of that. We're seeing more economic development all around us, and with all due respect, they're not even inviting us to the table no more. So I ask my fellow commissioners again, how we have these deep discussions about public safety, about the roads, and everything else. It's time for us to sit down and hammer out a plan for economic development, like yesterday. Thank you.
thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I did have a question about the millage. The hospital authority and development authority are keeping theirs the
same.
flat rate?
That's correct.
That's what I seen on screen. I just wanted to make sure about that.
By law, the Development Authority
Or
is
is it
required
maxed out?
to get two, yes.
Okay.
Good?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Walden.
Well, all of us that spoke, I'm ready to hear from you.
Can do that. When I look back at the entire process, personally, I think many of us will be looking forward to the digest and what the digest would bring to the table. That would help to bear a lot of the cost, especially the increased costs in our budget. And the digest did well.
Very well.
Just didn't do as well as we needed to do to absorb all the the increased costs. So we need to keep pushing economic development. We need to, as you very well said, talk to our department heads that everybody is on board. Constitutional officers, make sure everybody's on board, and perhaps even do some kind of report card, kind of a look at quarterly or something like that to see where everybody is, keep a good, a close eye on it. We've done well with our fund balance overall, you know, and I look forward to, you know, you all see the growth like I do, so we're thinking that that just continue to grow. Now, I will say this, especially you, Mr. Sprinkle, I'm not sure if you heard the meeting where Ms. Glenda Roberts came to, you saw that meeting where she came to talk to us about assessments? Yeah, so we're letting the general public know that there will be some reassessments done based on state requirements, not Liberty County requirements, state requirements. You know? So that's also on the horizon, but we think we're gonna level off. I'm looking at my staff because, you know, we have the firemen, and we've done some deferments where we haven't hired people now, and we're hiring them in January.
Staggering them.
Yeah. EMS is what it is. It's not a moneymaker, but it is a lifesaver. Lifesaver.
I mean, like I said, you're increasing your millage 0.8 of a mil, and the loss that you're taking on EMS is close to $2 million.
So that has to be built in. So I'm confident right now that we're doing all we can do, Commissioner Walden, to maintain. We just gotta hold the line, as you would say, Commissioner Thrift, as we go through this new fiscal year, and then look for more growth in the digest. And that's why we need to pump and support economic growth, because listen, I saw some people the other day who said they love to come to Hobby Lobby and shop. They're from out of the county. So we applaud that because sales taxes have been doing real well.
Very well.
Sales tax help us to defer from property taxes. So I think we have the right strategy, just a matter of, the Army say we got to execute. My Army friends say have to execute. So that's where I think we are, sir.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that key word, which is fund balance. You were fortunate when you came in as the chairman, we had that.
Yes.
And I would think that when Chairman McIver was here, it wasn't that great.
Not when he first came, no,
He
sir.
put something in place that, right now, we're having to say, if we didn't have it, we would be in a tight. So the first thing that we need to concentrate on is, let's get the fund balance to where it's at, where it was at, and somewhere between 4 and 5 months of work in order, I guess, was what we were looking at.
Anywhere from 3 to 7 months of operational.
And that's probably gonna be our first challenge, to try to do that. No is an answer also. I mean, I've got 3 kids, and I know that's a hard thing to do, is to raise them. Bob brought up a point, I understand what they're doing in McIntosh County. I've always heard people say, well, my kids are out of school, why should I pay taxes, school taxes? Well, I don't know who paid them before I went into school, so I was glad they did. But we have a lot of seniors. Your mandated things we had up here as far as exemptions, Kim, what would that add up to that is a state mandated exemption that we would have? That it don't make any difference. There's some of those that we offer, that Liberty County offers.
Yes, sir.
That's not required. And the military is, and you know, they're in our community, they're part of our community, and that's something that we do. We don't have to do it, but it's something that we've done for a long time.
That's correct.
And I appreciate it. I mean, my dad served, and Bob served, and I appreciate it. You know, I know it's hard to make it, but I know we can do it, and we're just gonna have to tighten our belt up and move forward. As far as Commissioner Frazier talked about economic development, I think that happens every day in the private sector. And I know we've got the Development Authority, we've got the Hinesville Downtown Authority, the City of Hinesville Development Authority, and I don't know, maybe we can just combine them all and make one authority. But I can remember when there wasn't an authority. I mean, it was, something that never was out there, but to say the right thing is to, you know, continue on, we can't continue on the way we've been going. We're gonna have to somewhere stop. Bob brought up about his assessment. Well, I know what my house was assessed at, and I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't sell it for that. So, I just wouldn't. So I'm just, of course, mine's older than his, and I mean, he's in $1 million house. Well, it looked like $1 million. Maybe that was your mobile home you had out there. But anyhow, again, I do, I look forward to all of us working together and trying to solve some of the issues that's out. And I'll just let Mr. Gillard finish his thing up.
He is. That's how I know him.
You can go out of public hearing.
All right, Chair, entertain a motion to go out of public hearing back in the regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, show of hands, please. We're now back in the regular session. All right.
All right, so I have two resolutions. So I'll read the one from Hinesville, Incorporated Hinesville, to pay the expense of administration of county government, to pay principal and interest on debt, to build and repair public buildings and bridges, to pay the expense of courts, the maintenance and support of prisoners, to pay sheriffs, coroners, and for litigation, to build and maintain a system of county roads, for public health purposes and for the collection and preservation of public records and vital statistics, to provide for payments of old age assistance to aged persons in need and for payment of assistance to needy blind and to dependent children and other welfare benefits consistent with the laws as created by the General Assembly, to provide for fire protection of forest lands and for the further conservation of natural resources, to provide medical or other care and hospitalization of the indigent sick, to acquire, improve, and maintain public facilities, to provide for workers' compensation and retirement or pension funds for officers and employees, to provide reasonable reserve for public improvements. The mill rate for above for the county, 14.8. For the school board, 15.25. For the hospital authority, 3.843. For the industrial authority, 2 mills for a total mill rate of 35.893. It is ordered that the above and foregoing levy for the year 2022 in the amount of 35.893 mills be spread upon the minutes of the board and be published as required by law this 17th day of November, 2022.
All right, Chair, entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Motion is second. We approve the millage as,
14.8 for the incorporated area of Hinesville.
all right.
The next two are the same. They're both for the unincorporated.
Wait a minute, we gotta vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we.
Yeah, no, we didn't.
didn't.
I'm sorry.
We were digesting.
Sorry.
All in favor, show of hands, please. 14.8. All right. Passes, thank you.
Yeah, I'm ready to go too, huh? Okay, now for the unincorporated and the incorporated combined other smaller cities. The same, to pay the expense of administration of county government, to pay principal and interest on debt, to build and repair public bridges and buildings, to pay the expense of courts, the maintenance and support of prisoners, and to pay sheriffs, coroner, and for litigation, to build and maintain a system of county roads for public health purposes and for the collection and preservation of public records and vital statistics, to provide for payments of old age assistance to aged persons in need and for payment of assistance to needy blind and to dependent children and other welfare benefits consistent with the laws as created by the General Assembly, to provide for fire protection of forest lands and for the further conservation of natural resources, to provide medical care and other care and hospitalization for the indigent sick, to acquire, improve, and maintain public facilities, to provide for workers' compensation and retirement or pension funds for officers and employees, and to provide reasonable reserve for public improvements. The mill rate for all above for the county, unincorporated and incorporated combined other, 17.4. For For school maintenance, 15.25. For hospital authority, 3.843. Industrial authority, 2.0, for a total mill rate of 38.493. It is ordered that the above and foregoing levy for the year 2022 in the amount of 38.493 mills be spread upon the minutes of the board and be published as required by law this 17th day of November, 2022.
Unincorporated other, right?
Incorporated, unincorporated, and incorporated combined other, yes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve.
Second? Second motion, second we approve. All in favor, show of hands, please. We have discussion. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, I guess that's all.
Just an observation, two things. Jerry may have to help bail me out. Just a teaching moment. First thing I'm gonna do is sometimes when people talk about millage rates and to compare Liberty County, I'm glad Chairman McIver is here. You have to be careful because counties calculate their millages differently. I.e. in Liberty County, recreation is in our millage, mosquito control, fire, all that. You know, some counties break theirs out. Your recreation fee could be separate, so you may be paying it, just not in your millage. So you can't just look at something that's listed in a magazine and says, here's, Liberty County has the third highest millage in all of Georgia. Yeah, but what's in that millage?
So the other counties in Chatham is a perfect example. They fund 100% of their fire out of a separate fire fee assessment that people get. It's not incorporated in their total budget. Some other counties do public safety fees or public safety assessments that go on separate. We make a contribution actually over to the water fund. Some of those are obviously rolled into water fund activities by other counties. And as you pointed out, recreation in some counties does a separate recreation assessment or does not fund recreation at all, and it's done through private funding. So yeah, it's not apples to apples when you go and take a look at the DCA chart of counties and their village assessments.
Yeah. Last thing, I was talking to Erica, 911 Erica Smith. Yeah. She was at the GIS mapping presentation, and we were talking, of course, you all may have know this, it's been a challenge to hire people to work 911. And 911, of course, they operate 24/7. So we were talking, and she was saying she had gone to a conference recently and found out that it's the same everywhere. So I asked, I said, well, Erica, what's the starting pay? She says $14.83 or 93 cents, somewhere like that. And so, and I just heard someone else talk the other day about that's what some fast food places are paying. So you got a 911 person who's directing traffic for your life, whose starting pay is 14-something, as versus somebody who's working fast food. These are the challenging times that we're in. I think she said once you get certified, then it goes up maybe $1 or something like that. But my point is, but that fast food person is making almost as much. Yeah. So why would I leave fast food and go work 911 and work shift work and have that kind of responsibility? These are the challenging times that when I know I see my hospital people, it's challenging when it comes to trying to keep up and trying to be have comparative pay for your, I hate to say competition, but others out there. I can imagine the CNAs may be somewhere in that area too. Yeah. But when Erica told me that, it was a wake-up call. And listen, I applaud the county. We have good benefits, Laura. It's a great job. We have good benefits, all that. But I just want the general public to kind of know where we are in this workforce and what we're required to do, challenges we have to meet every day. Yeah. All right. Off my soapbox now. Okay. All right. At this point, the public hearing is closed. So if there's anyone that needs to be excused, we would like you to be excused. Otherwise, you can certainly stay and enjoy the rest of the meeting. Ms. Kim, back with finance.
Chairman, one moment.
Everyone should have their September report. You want me to wait a minute?
Yeah, give it back.
This report is for the year-to-date as of September 30th. At the end of September 30th, we've collected about 10% of our revenues, which is average, normal at this time of year. We've exhausted about 21% of our budgeted expenditures, so we're actually below the mark, which is good. At the end of September, if we actually spent a quarter of our expenditures, we'd be at 25, so I feel like we're doing pretty good. At the end of September, we actually had 2.8 months of operational expenditures in our undesignated and unreserved fund balance. This time 1 year ago, we were at 3.7, so we have increased slightly. In the general fund, there's a couple of departments that are running slightly ahead of schedule. Your administration is running slightly ahead of schedule in professional services for payments related to the Liberty County reclassification and compensation plan, and also to the Mercer recruitment services. So that kind of skewed the budget a little bit for this month. Same with data processing. They had some contractual expenses that they have to pay up front at the beginning of the year, so that has skewed their budget. Same with the general administration and Superior Court that we've talked about, where we make those one-time lump sum payments up front. Judicial administration is our court reporters, and we struggle with this. They are already running slightly ahead of schedule, so we'll keep an eye on that, but I do hope that possibly some of those expenses will eventually be moved over to the ARPA AOC funding, so that the general fund can be relieved of some of those expenses that pertain to some of those ARPA felony cases. The coroner's running a little ahead of schedule for other equipment and items purchased, but we have, now with the passing of that millage rate, amending his budget was part of that process, so that'll come back in line in your next report. And then debt service, the enterprise fleet management services are running a little ahead of schedule, and that has to do with the delivery of vehicles. So if we get no vehicles for that month, then we don't make a payment. If we get 5 or 6 all in one month, then you'll see that payment go up. So that has to do with timing, but I expect that to fall back in line. At the end of September, your solid waste operations has a small net loss of $112,000. I do expect that to come back in line once the tax bills go out and we get some of those solid waste assessments in there to help with that. And within the department in solid waste, there is only one department that's running slightly ahead of schedule, and that was due to the purchase of 38 dumpsters that were needed. That cost about $42,000, so that kind of skewed their budget for the month. All of your other special revenues are operating within their budget for this time of year. And your sales tax, just as you mentioned, Mr. Kierman, looks fantastic. In September, again, we received over $1 million in sales tax 6. So at the end of September, you're actually $5.7 million ahead of schedule. And at the end of September, we've already reached our $54 million.
Really?
Yes, yes, sir. 54.3 million. So we've still got October, November, December, January, February, and March. That's 6 more months.
I haven't heard any, and I know sales taxes are doing well, I know across the state of Georgia. I'm not, maybe nationwide, but any predictions, Joey, ever heard anything what the expectations are for sales taxes? It's kind of like, what can we look forward to, just to continue? I hadn't heard any predictions from anyone.
It continues to hold steady.
Yeah.
Same thing with your T-Splost. T-Splost brought in over $900,000, so we're looking real good there too. We're about $500,000 ahead of schedule there.
Pave some roads and do some infrastructure.
Just need to get those tax bills out. I'm glad we adopted that millage rate, so the tax commissioner can start his process of getting the digest delivered and approved by the Department of Revenue, so we can send out those property tax bills. These are our very lean months. Right now, October, November, December, those are our very lowest months. This is just September I reported on, but as soon as we can get those property tax bills out, we'll start getting some more cash flow in, and you'll see that fund balance come back up.
Who was it that told me that you enjoyed that, all that's done electronically now? Virgil didn't have.
Yes, this is the first, this is brand new this year. You know, it used to be they made an appointment and they hand-delivered it up there and they sat there while it was being reviewed and you found out right then. Then during the pandemic, they started sending packages of information. So, you know, the newspaper ads and all of the forms and everything were put together in a package and overnighted. This is the first year that everything will be uploaded electronically. So we had to get affidavits from the newspaper regarding those advertisements, you know, scan those advertisements in, scan all the forms in, so everything will be done electronically. So hopefully that's a more efficient process, so maybe it'll be approved quicker.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Anything else? Any questions on your monthly report?
I don't know if you have these numbers, but do you know what, how much money we allocated for recreation on last
On what?
fiscal year?
I'm sorry.
From our previous fiscal year and for the youth program?
So recreation has a total budget of a little more than 2 million. The youth program has a budget of 39,000.
Right, I was talking about from the previous.
Oh, from
I'm
previous?
sorry. Right.
I'm sorry, I don't
Okay.
know that.
If you could just get that.
Somewhere in that area, though.
I want to say it's about the same, but I'll shoot that to you.
Right, that's what I was wondering. You know, we
in that
increased
area.
$7 million in a year, and we didn't put any more money towards recreation or youth.
Well, because we had more
For public safety, absolutely.
and other stuff too.
Yep.
And EMS and, yeah.
We need to invest in our future. It's the only thing I'm saying.
Congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Focus on the future. Revenue generating projects.
Mr. Long, come on.
Good evening. I want to make sure everybody knows I set a little couple extra things on your desk. I want to talk about as we get going. Just going to hit a couple of highlights. The Trayport West EMS building has come on up. It's starting to look pretty good. A lot of masonry walls up on the outside of that. Did talk to Gary about the Claudia Lane water line. Kind of got that going a little bit. So we'll have something going back out on that here pretty shortly.
Yeah, Trent, on that, and again, that's Commissioner Stevens, that's his district, but I guess, yeah, and I did see the drawing, and I appreciate the movement that we had on that. But don't know where we are with notifying the property owners yet. I mean, so I know Lamar was working on that.
Yes. And I have some more drawings.
Okay.
That we should be able to get those out this week, first part of next week.
Okay.
This week's about over, isn't it? So, yes, sir.
Mr. Brown, Mr. Chairman, on that Claudia Lane, funding for that project, where are we at with that?
It's kind of what we discussed last time, and you don't have any funding right now identified to run those water lines in there. So what Mr. Long is gonna focus on is doing that estimate of that project cost before we start acquiring right away. And before we even move forward, we're gonna have to come back to the board and try to establish a source for those funding.
Okay.
All right. Want to skip down to the Miller Park Fire Station. That's looking good. They're even further along than what my status report says. I saw this week that they're pouring the second floor, so all the concrete's on the second floor, and they're making good progress on that. The guys are back out at the Miller Park Recreation Park, getting that done. They're also in the process of trying to make sure that they have everything ready and stable this weekend or next week for the holiday weekend, so that everything stays where you can get to the solid waste convenience center and everything functions during the break. They're also doing a pretty good job out at solid waste convenience center in Gum Branch. The roads, the curb and gutters in, the stone is in. They've done a lot of the fencing around the outside of it. They have started pouring the retaining wall for the opposite side, so things are starting to look really nice out there. The water system on west of the railroad, this side of the railroad, we had submitted some months ago to CSX Railroad for the encroachment agreement to go underneath their railroad, to come down along Highway 84 and reach everything. It was a critical path in what we're trying to do. We did get an agreement from them, and when Mr. Brown was looking at signing it, we noticed that it did take an action by the commissioners. So I put a copy of the agreement. Everything is good on the agreement. There is a fee to the railroad, which I thought was less than what it was going to be. It was $8,300, which is on the last page. But funds are available for that as part of our project when we budgeted for this. Good. I just need, if we could, tonight, maybe get a action by the commissioners to approve Mr. Brown to sign the facilities and encroachment agreement with CSX Railroad, or if you'd like to take a chance and do it on your 6th of December meeting, we can do that. But the sooner I can get this back to the railroad, I would like.
Joey, Mr. Chairman. Now, the funding for the water system, improvements on Lewis Frazier and the improvements on west of the railroad, that's funded through the grant.
That's through those American Rescue Plan funds that are coming in, along with your match of some American Rescue Plan funds.
And Claudia Lane couldn't fall into the American Rescue?
Not under those federal funds.
Okay.
And if the board want to take a look when it comes time, we get the budget on that, of trying to adjust your allocated ARPA expenses, then, you know, moving some of those designated items.
I guess we'll wait and see what the cost is gonna be and see what we need. Okay. Thank you.
I'll send that out to you first part of next week, because I've got that.
Mr. Chairman, I had a question. Trent, Commissioner Gill, you might can help me, but I've noticed around in the city and in the county, on some of the roads, they're like double signs. Like, there'll be a stop sign down here and a stop sign up here. I know like on County Line Road, or a curve sign.
Yes, ma'am.
Then on Eunice Road today, I saw the same.
Yes, ma'am.
So who's putting those signs and not taking the old ones down, or what's going on there?
Yes, ma'am.
Get your breath.
I said the same thing, and I'm trying not to laugh as well.
I know it's.
So when we got DOT did the widening and overlaying and striping and all that, they had some signage that they replaced.
Okay.
So they put new signage and replaced some of the old signage. And what they asked the road department to do was pick up the ones behind them. So the road department is gonna go get those. The road department just hasn't gone to get them yet. So.
There's some in the city too that, you know,
Yes, ma'am.
I
They're
assume
kinda
that's
all over.
some that we got the money to restripe or overlay, and then
Yes,
there was
ma'am.
money included for new signage.
Yes, ma'am. So,
We really didn't need
yeah,
the
road
signs,
department
but,
has to pick up the new signs.
okay.
And, there are actually, if you ride down like County Line Road,
Yep,
there are sections of the white line on the right side that, grass was over, so they just stopped painting until they got to the spot where there was no grass.
yeah. Get what
I
you pay
have
for.
passed that along to the Department of Transportation that needs to get fixed. So when you said that about the signs, I was like, okay.
They're definitely visible.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, you can tell, there's a double sign there.
Mr. Long, Chairman, maybe if you could communicate to DOT the next time that they have money to throw away,
Yeah, just give it out.
at least communicate with the counties to make sure it's going the right place. And where are we at with Islands Highway? Have that project been leveled out, from them cutting the trenches on the side of the road?
Yes, sir, for the most part. They have, we noticed on Tuesday that there was one gouge of asphalt that they had not fixed. We contacted them Tuesday, and they're supposed to be out. Now, we haven't paid them anything, so I'm holding their money.
Wait a minute, now, hold on. This was a DOT project, right?
The Highlands Highway was our company.
Okay.
That was Liberty County's contract.
Yeah, islands belong to us.
Okay.
So, yes, sir, I've been holding their money on that until they get that.
Hold it till the cow come home. I don't care.
$8,000 that we're holding.
How much was their bond?
$170-something thousand, something like that. I can't remember exactly what the contract amount was, but it was more. Okay, I'll get back to where I was. I'm sorry. Water system, rest of the railroad track. Would it be your pleasure to try to look at that to allow Joey to sign the facility encroachment agreement tonight, or would you want to?
Commissioner, you all comfortable with that, Mr. Staff? You good with that? Commissioner, I know y'all said. Yeah, I need a
Right.
motion, yeah.
For the
Yes, sir.
railroad track?
The railroad track.
Yeah.
I need a,
Make a motion that, let you go ahead and sign it.
Second.
okay, any further discussion? All in favor, show of hands, please. It will be signed.
Thank you very much. I want to skip back down to Islands Highway, right-of-way and safety improvement project. We've done a pretty good bit of work trying to, look at the traffic studies, everything going along there. In our meetings with the Department of Transportation, regarding what we're doing on Islands Highway, what we're doing with a lot of our transportation projects that you guys have seen us talk about the last 6 months. One of the things they recently said about the bridge over I-95 was that a lot of the communities are coming to the department with a transportation improvement study, was it the TIA is what they call them, or traffic impact analysis, sorry, on what's happening at the intersection. Along with I-95, it kind of analyzes traffic along I-95 and what's going to do it. That's a little bit bigger than what my traffic engineer can do. We did reach out to Atlas and get them to give us a price to do the traffic impact analysis at I-95. That price is $31,150. What I'd like to be able to do, you know, we could do it this meeting, but if you want to wait until December to do most of the actions, I'd like to be able to turn them loose to get them started on this traffic impact analysis. I was over at Department of Transportation this morning, meeting with the District Traffic Operations Engineer, and just kind of talking about all our projects and where we were going with this. And that's one of the things they would like to see to help that project move along. Because, you know, it's just kind of sitting there and waiting on funding, and, you know, they're spending a lot of their money up in Bryan County along the Hyundai plant. So what we're trying to do is go to them like our neighbors are with these analyses that they're looking for, that give them the information they need to go look for funding and try to move forward with getting that second bridge over I-95. I say second bridge. We just need more lanes, and we need more throughput across I-95. You know, with everything that's kind of coming, it's really gonna become pretty imperative that we have that soon. So this is something Mr. Brown and I looked at, felt like this is something we should do. If I'm not mistaken, we do have available funding from our sales tax or transportation monies to do this. So please consider giving us the permission to move forward with this either tonight or at the December 6th meeting.
Joey, T-Splosh or Splosh? T-Splosh? Okay. All right. You know, Mr. Longsley explained that, you know, that's one of our necessary projects to get that bridge widened at I-95 with all the expected growth that we have. That's knocking on our door as we speak. And of course, that's some of the citizens' concerns about safety in that whole area. So his if I heard him correctly, his recommendation that we go ahead and move forward with the traffic study.
Yes, sir.
And T-Splosh was funded in the amount of $31,150.
$31,150. Yes, sir, and we're, on our study that we're doing on Islands Highway, we have all our traffic counts done, and we have all our everything ready that we can feed them the information from the Islands Highway side. So, you know, we're ready with our information for them now, so we can tell them, go to work and they won't have to wait on us.
Trent, this will be good information to take back with us on the next meeting that we have down there. To the,
It would.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, have we been in anyone around to talk with the governor's office on this situation?
So, we have not been to the governor's office on this. During this past year, we have presented this project to Ann Purcell. We presented it to Buddy Carter. We presented it to Ben Carter. And we also presented it to Raphael Warnock's group.
Yeah.
Everybody came down and we presented a whole list, and this was one of them that we stuck on pretty hard. And Ms. Purcell said she's interested in doing it. She's got another area that she was doing first, which now it's obvious which area that she was working on. So, you know, I think she's got some attention for us, but it's gonna be a little bit, and we need to get ourselves noticed.
We're looking at even 4 years is to have it put in. I mean, the construction of it and open it up, you're looking at probably right now, we don't have nothing but a wish.
There's no project number, no money.
Do what?
There's no project and no money right now.
Okay.
We have our plans, you know, so, and they've, can I say, blessed our plans?
They have, and as Mr. Law mentioned, the district engineer, when we met with him several times on this, he, you know, said we gotta get a number assigned, we gotta get in the federal cycle. This is what he said we needed to do, to get in that federal cycle, to get that PI number assigned to it.
And we're blessed to have T-Splosh to help us with that.
That's right.
I would encourage the commission, let's move forward so that we don't lose any time. You're right, it's gonna take some years for all this to happen, but if you don't start now, you'll never get there, so. Really,
Yeah, I say we're behind the 8 ball on it, for sure. The reason why I asked this, we still looking at 4 years to even, for somebody to cut the ribbon. I don't know who it's gonna be, but somebody can cut it.
Yeah, the average time to get from where we are now to a project on the ground is 5 to 7 years.
Well, I think there's a lot of focus on the industrial part. That's not my focus, and I've said it time and time again. You've got one way on and one way off that island. Even the road itself, all the way in, is not wide enough. So
You're exactly right.
that is the most important thing. I mean, even the congressman said that, you know, there ought to be money for, you know, set aside for any type of a disaster that we could use. We could go in there and be able to talk to Congress and say, hey, you know, this is it. I mean, at Tybee, they did everything they could to help those people. They, you know, fixed the roads but, you know, here we have it, there ain't no way to get off of it.
You're absolutely right.
We got a boat, and that looked like the last time what everybody's gonna need to do. Yeah, I'm for,
Can I have a,
do you need,
yeah, I
can
need
you
a
do
motion.
that?
Yeah, I need a motion, sir.
So move.
Second?
Second.
Motion is second that we enter a contract. What's the name of the company, sir?
Atlas.
Atlas, well, in the amount of $31,150 for the, I say traffic study, you said something a little more detailed than that, but.
Yes, sir. It's a traffic analysis. So it'll be, I've got a little letter, and you got a copy of it up there. So.
Any further
this is what we
discussion?
do.
All in favor, show of hands, please. Let's not hold up the project. In opposition? All right.
Mr. Long? What about the polite lane? Is it finished?
I have not ridden out there. I know he was doing some work on it, but I have not ridden out there. But I'll ride out tomorrow and get the.
What's the status on the Peacock, the bridge on Lewis Frazier, DOT project? They sent out
They sent out the public
Postcards
hearing,
and
yeah, they
people-
sent out all the public hearing stuff.
Right.
So what they're in, that was the public hearing, open house thing that they do. They're in the period right now where they're responding to those comments. So, I'll hear more after that period is up. And it's getting up pretty soon.
Okay.
We're moving closer and closer to being ready to go to construction with that.
Okay.
One other thing, Trent, on Davidson Select, I think the last time, your report from last month said that we're gonna take some core samples, and I'm just reading this, it just says that, construction plans to reconstruct and overlay, have the core samples been taken?
Yes, they took them.
Okay,
I'm expecting the results any day now.
okay.
Just from the information that I got verbally, I kind of know what I need to do with my typical section and how to repair some of the things. So we're in good shape with that. So I'm hoping to be able to put those out.
Yeah, I was just reading this, I mean, we're, I guess, a week away from late November, that's what it says on here. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well, just out of curiosity, was it what we thought it was, just poor sub?
Not much underneath it at all.
If we show up?
Sand, clay, and just stuff that we used to do that we don't do anymore.
You used to play on them dirt roads, didn't you? So you ought to know what's on it.
Then they covered it up with
Yeah.
Got a little asphalt.
half
throw it on
inch
there.
asphalt.
Yeah, got a little asphalt, throw it on there.
Yeah, it was better than what it had been, you know, so we were,
And it lasted a surprising long time for
you're
what
right, it has been a while.
it's been there.
But the patching no longer works. you know.
It needs it.
Just gotta have a heart replacement.
Thank you, Trent.
One more thing. Since the year is closing up, can we get a list of all the projects that with the NWE?
Yes.
I just want to see what the numbers look like with the participation. If we could do that.
Can do that. I'll write that down before I walk out the door. Don't want to forget to do it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just think we need to readdress one of those policies. I know we haven't looked at that in quite a while. Yeah.
All right, Board of Elections, Mr. John McIver. While he's coming, we'll congratulate our returning commissioners, Stevens, Frazier, and Thrift to the board. Congratulations on your recent wins.
Good evening,
Hello, sir.
Chairman, hello, Commissioner,
How are you?
Mr. Brown, and Mr. Mosley. Thank you for allowing me to be on the agenda. I wanted to discuss with the board the proposal for a staggered term of our board members. Before I do, just want to let you all know that we had a great night on November the 8th for our
Really did.
countywide election. And Chairman was there with us. But the main thing I want to say to you all, we got a great working team. Ms. Walthour and all of our election team did a wonderful job. And the reason I'm saying that, because of the fact that by 8:30 p.m. that night, all of the precinct had made their reports
Good.
back to the office. And those data was in the system. And by 9:17, all of the data that needed to be reported was in the system. And by 9:35 p.m., Rhonda had uploaded everything to the Secretary of State. Now, I've been around here quite a while.
That was,
And I've been on the board for a little while. But this was the first time we made such an early report to the Secretary of State. And we all know that the new law says that the report have to be in by 10 o'clock p.m. We did much better than 10 o'clock p.m. And all because I would say that the working team that Rhonda had put together to make all this happen. So I just wanted to report that to you all, and I hope that you all will find some good time to give her a call. Congratulations.
Me too.
Thank you. My purpose, really, I want to discuss with the board a proposal that our board discussed at our last meeting concerning staggered term for all of our board members. As you all know, appointment comes up. You all make the appointment. I think doing it tonight also. But there need to be a system in place where our board, just like your board, have staggered term for the purpose of continuity. So that if you all decide to reappoint everyone on the board, you will have all new board members coming on that is not very well versed in the procedure and policies that the Board of Election do have. So it's cumbersome upon the Board of Commissioners to study it, if all possible, and approve the recommendation, and hopefully you can get this year, and once y'all approve it, you can pass it on to Representative Al Williams. You can get it in the hopper for consideration in the session coming up next year. And hopefully then, whatever language, the way it need to be crafted, I'm quite sure you all can advise Representative Williams and along with Attorney Davis how it should be crafted. But what I have put together, I think Mr. Brown gave you all a copy. That's just a draft, from my opinion, of the way it should be based on the tenure of the board members who is presently serving. And if you take it from that point of view, I think it kind of mirror how your board of commissioners is staggered. So basically, I'm asking you all to consider that. Our board talked about it, and we thought it would be a great idea to help to maintain that continuity for the Board of Election and Registration. Any question, I'll be here to.
But let me ask you, how, the state mandate on how many people you have to have on a Board of Elections, is that
Right.
change from county population size, or throughout the state of Georgia? I'm just saying, would DeKalb County have like we've got, or do they have more members? Are you aware of that? I'm saying, can some, right here, what you've got is 5 members? Is that right?
That's 5 appointed by the Board of Commissioners.
Right. How many can you, how many
It's 7.
you can have?
It's 7.
7 total?
1 from each political party,
Right.
and 5 appointed by your commissioner.
Is that number, though, is that set up in legislation for Liberty County?
Yes.
Okay, so a larger county can have more. And that's one thing that I wanted to say. Right now, this number right here has been here for many years. It's not increased, has it?
Nope.
I mean, our population has increased. We have more people. So I'm just asking, should that number increase?
That'd probably be up to the Board of Commissioners.
DeKalb County has 5.
Yeah.
I mean, Google's.
Every county has just 5?
I don't know, I just Googled.
Yeah, I got the sheet here, but I mean, you're the chairman, I'm just asking you, what, if you got 5 members and you got them all present all the time, that's excellent, but do you think the time is to where, you need to expand the board? Does it need to change to 7?
I don't, from my knowledge of it, like Fridge is saying, this is state legislative policy and legislation that was put together. And when it was adopted, just about all counties in Georgia have basically the same legislation when they come down to the number of board members. Is 5 appointed by the Board of Commissioners, and 1 from each political party. That's the combined, that's when you're having the combined Board of Registration. And there's other means for registration, Board of Registration, because you still, some of them still have the Board of Registration and the Board of Election. So we are a combined board. And that's how the legislation is written for a combined board.
And it's, I'm sorry, and it's functioning well as is, that's what he's trying to get a feel. It functions well with that number of people, the 7?
Yeah, the number is 7.
Yeah. And it
By
functions.
legislation.
Yeah. And the 7 function well.
Function well.
Yeah, okay.
Chairman, just my thoughts on that, Mr. McIver, appreciate you coming out to visit with us, and I read over the proposal. We are prepared, and we will make appointment on tonight, and I was just looking at the proposal, and continuity is important. You know, continuity is important, but I was looking at it, the email that you sent is dated the 31st, and it says that from the 24th of October board meeting, you know, I guess some of the members, you know, discussed it and thought it'd be a good idea, and it probably is a real good idea, but on the same time, you know, around that same time, there was a public notice in the local paper for board appointments for 5 positions and 4-year terms, and that's what was advertised. And I guess everybody that applied, including the ones that wanted to be reappointed, and the new applicants, they applied based on this public notice. So you know, maybe we can consider this proposal at a later time, but maybe probably earlier during the year. I mean, we weren't going to act on it tonight, were we?
This, in reference to your statement, Commissioner, this request and discussion is not based around your appointment for tonight.
Yeah.
This is for a future endeavor of the county to make sure that we have the continuity on the board. Whatever appointment you make tonight, gonna be based for a 4-year term.
Right, that's what I was saying. That
4-year term.
That if the people that applied, including yourself, to be reappointed, is for a 4-year term. So if we wanted to go to staggered terms, would it be after this 4 years? I mean, what's the proposal? Is there a time period that y'all looking at doing it? This is the end of 22, and I guess 4 years would be the end of 26. So if you wanted to change it to staggered terms, would you be looking at changing it in, you know, discussing it again in early 26, so that you could have some doing what the proposal said, 4-year term and 2-year term? So you would reconsider this in 26, because everybody that's going to be appointed tonight has 4 years.
And it's not cut in stone.
What's not cut in stone?
Because if you amend the legislation, you can always put the language in there that if
To go back
the
to
3 senior members on that board, you can change the term.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying our county attorney could help craft the language to amend it to get you in the staggered term. Although you are making the appointment for the next 4 years.
Right.
And I'm not a lawyer, but I can craft that in regard to make it a retro to encompass your appointment that's coming up tonight.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying.
No, I was just saying that, you know, somebody looked in the paper and there was a board appointment for a 4-year term, and that's what that person applied for. But you said legislation can, let's say a year or two from now, can change that. And even though they were appointed for 4 years, they could possibly only do 2 years, because 2 years from now, it could be a change in the legislation.
The county advertises because the legislation says it's a 4-year term.
Right.
Okay. If you amend it, like we are asking you to do, and your attorney craft the language for the amendment, and if you stipulate how the future, how those who have been appointed will serve out the remaining of their 4-year term after the legislation has been amended, you put the language in there. So that's what I'm saying, Commissioner. I know what you're planning on doing tonight. This proposal was not to circumvent any of that. Okay?
This is just something to think about.
It's
a recommendation.
It's something to think about.
Send it to the attorney.
Yeah.
If the commissioner board decides that a staggered term is not good, right?
I mean, I understand a little bit of it, it did come about the same time we was gonna make these appointments, and
And the other side of this is, if you look at it from this point of view, we ought to be thinking with our caps on. The Board of Commissioners got staggered term. But when the board made that decision, the legislation went into place to make it possible. But it was did because of the time the election was coming up, to make it all possible that when you're going to qualify for the position, then you know that you were coming up on a 2-year or a 4-year term, right? You was here. I came in 2012 on a staggered term. I did 2 years. Okay? So the point I'm trying to make is that don't look at this as if this can be a hindrance to anything that we are proposing, because the language in your legislation can always be drafted to accommodate what the board so desires. Okay?
Okay, give it Kelly, okay.
With that same scenario, so Mr. Mosley, whatever, if you choose to do that, whatever legislation you have will be prospective and not retroactive. And so it won't affect the appointments tonight. It would be enacted to affect any next appointments you make going forward, which would have shorter or longer terms, for a period, to get into the same.
Okay. We got it.
are they up for, is that what's on the agenda next?
It's,
Thank you all.
Thank you.
facility use and then the board appointments.
Facility use agreement, thank you, Mr. McIver. We will take the opportunity to congratulate Rhonda and her staff for a job well done. I've done it already, but I think he's right. Commissioners, we just make a special opportunity to do that, they would appreciate it. Facility use agreement with Consulting, Rob Jones?
Yes, sir. Mr. Rob Jones is here, representing Witt Consulting, actually, who your contract is actually with for the swim team that uses the recreational facility on the east end. I just want to point out, and that agreement is in front of y'all, and we've been over it with Mr. Jones and his team, that the only really changes to that, which we discussed on page 3. First, there was an authorized period in the prior agreement that really hindered them on what times they could work. Well, come to find out, really, with the recreation staff, they're working very well together. If there are any kind of conflicts with recreation events or anything, they communicate regularly with Samantha there, and those schedules get adjusted on both sides to be able to accommodate that. The basic use fee stays the same, or is projected to stay the same. It continues to have a reimbursement for operating costs. And on that note, basically, to make things easier on the county and on them for projection going forward, we came up with an average worker rate that includes anyone that, you know, the highs and the lows that may be involved with helping for that event, such as lifeguards, pool managers. So we've come up with an average worker rate, and we've also assigned an overhead rate, which they've agreed to. So those are the changes related to that. The other change, and you know, the commission was very proud that the swim team came on board a few years ago. It's done very well. Wanted to make sure there was some discount offered or some incentive to Liberty County residents, which there continues to be, and that they will encourage that participation. And to that end, I'll tell you that Mr. Jody Pittman's here, that has son that swims on that team. And also Miss Ashley McCarron, who contacted us. I think I made a copy of her email for y'all. Both of those are local folks for a long time that have children on these teams and have done very well. So I wanted to pass that along as Rob's coming forward. I think he wants to give you an update as you consider the contract.
Good evening. Thank you for letting us give you kind of an update on the status of the swim team. I'm going to talk to you about all the great things that are happening right here in Liberty County, and hopefully answer any questions you may have. As a brief, it's kind of what I'm going to try to get through real quick. Brief introduction. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rob Jones. I'm the lead site coach here in Savannah. Pardon, sir?
You're 9.
What did I say? I'm sorry. Right, out in Midway. I'm a veteran of the U.S. Army, retired special agent of the Secret Service, and I still rehired and knew it down at FLETC in Brunswick. And in my spare time, which almost seems like a full-time job, I'm a coach out in Midway. Coaching alongside me is the other volunteers, Coach Donna. She's a speech pathologist, is her day job, and Coach Scott found is the manager of a Home Depot in Savannah. So together, we work the swim team in Midway. I was here last, boy, it doesn't seem like 13 months ago, but I was here briefing you guys last October, and certainly have a lot to talk about since then. And again, I wanted to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to talk about our program and our successes and some of the things that we have on tap. Just a quick overview. Hey, our swim team, it's not a regular swim team. It's a swim program designed to be a world-class program. We're designing, our program is designed to take athletes from, hey, I walked through the fence, I decide to join the team. You spend years training and working, and you hopefully achieve your maximum potential as an athlete. And where is the scope of that for some of these athletes? The scope of that is, hey, I'm thinking in a year or two from now, 2 years at the next Olympic trials, I would guess that some of the members from Midway will be swimming at the Olympic trials in 2 years. That's the kind of talent we have in the pool here in Midway. And along with developing that talent, I'm going to tell you about, that's only half of what we do. I'd like to say we develop the next leaders that you were talking about earlier, the youth. We're developing that youth into leaders that will hopefully be in this area and lead the next generations of people here. I'm really proud of how we run our organization to teach the leadership and the mentorship. Swimming is a very unique sport. No other sport can you have 18 and 19-year-olds swimming and working together with the newest generation, the 7 and 8-year-olds, boys and girls, all working together as a team to accomplish the same goal. It's very unique in that way. And our senior swimmers go out of their way to mentor and lead the young kids, to set the example. And all these things are happening right here in Midway. So let's talk real quick about some of the accomplishments we've had just in this past year. I'm going to throw up some names and some accomplishments that are pretty spectacular. Probably our headliner has been Stephen Jones. I think I talked to you about him last year. Since then, he won the high school state champion, the 6A championship, in the 500 free. He was a 2022 high school All-American in the 100 fly. This summer, he qualified for 3 events at the Summer Junior Nationals, which is one of the hardest qualifying events for any 18 and under swimmer. He qualified for 3 events. And today, actually, he's enrolled at Georgia Tech, and he's swimming for Georgia Tech today. Actually, he's at a meet at the University of Georgia and swimming very well, from my understanding. Yenna Park. Yenna Park is a Georgia State senior champion in the 50 breast. Multiple high school top finishes. And I wanted to mention her. She just accepted an appointment to West Point, the United States Military Academy at West Point. Says a lot about your character and your leadership ability to get selected to attend West Point. We have amazingly fast swimmers on the rise. Amy Schonk, who trains with us, second in the 50 free at the age group state championships. Currently, right now, she's ranked 17th in the country in 13-14 girls 50 free. There are 400,000 registered USA swimmers in the United States, 8,000 in Georgia. 400,000, that's a lot. And of the 13-14 girls, she's ranked 17th. Pretty amazing. Reese Jones, another up-and-coming swimmer. In the last year, she's won 10 individual state Georgia championships. 8,000 swimmers in the state of Georgia. Clubs in Atlanta with over 1,000 people on their team. She scored more points than an 11 and 12-year-old girl this last meet than any other 11 and 12-year-old girl in the state. Her times as a 12-year-old rank her nationally in multiple events. Midway resident, Max McNeil, last state meet, 50 freestyle. Head going into the turn, just barely missed, finishing 4th. High school state meet, 13, 14-year-old boys. Lost the race by 24/100ths of a second. That's your local swimmer doing amazing things. I've talked about some of the swimming things. We have other swimmers that do amazing things outside the pool. Natalie Cousin is probably going to be the Richmond Hill High School valedictorian. She's a drum major for the high school. She's also a high school swim team captain. Wyatt Hayes last year, Naval ROTC scholarship, 4-year appointment to Auburn. These are the type of individuals that we have leading our swim team every day. So I've got them here. I've told you a little bit about some of the people that are really fast in the pool. Those are not all our success stories. Our success stories, and just as amazing, are ones just like River McLaren. Golly, it was probably 8 weeks ago, she joined our club. She couldn't swim more than a few feet. A month later, she's in one of the biggest meets here in Savannah, probably 1,000 people in the stands, and she's swimming in her first race. It wasn't an easy 25. She swam the 50 backstroke. It was absolutely amazing. The 50 backstroke didn't get DQ'd. She made it the whole way, and she did it very fast. This was after 6 weeks. I didn't tell her mom this. It almost brought me to tears. What an amazing job she did with her hard work and the mentorship from some of the people on our team. Just an amazing accomplishment. You won't read about that in the paper anywhere, but these are the kind of success stories that we're having in Midway. The next one I wanted to talk about was another little girl, 11-year-old girl, not much of a swimmer. She had swam her first middle school meet and hadn't done very well. And parents asked us, hey, can you help her out a little bit? She swims with us for 2 weeks, comes back 2 weeks later, in her 50 free, she cuts 14 seconds off of her 50. That's almost like cutting 14 seconds off of your 100-yard dash, if you can imagine. Just an amazing accomplishment in such a short period of time. And these are some of the success stories we're having in Midway. I think we've talked to you guys about this before. Hey, we're doing good things for the community, not only representing Midway in Liberty County, but I think we do a really good job of being stewards of your facility. We are there literally 7 days a week. My senior swimmers practice 7+ days a week and doing dry land on their own outside of that. The lifeblood of their success is that swimming pool. They take care of it better than they take care of their own home. If we didn't have that, they would not have a place to swim. So we spend a lot of time, and we are very good caretakers of that pool. We clean the pool more than anybody else. We clean the restrooms, the deck. We monitor the facility. So when the county employees aren't there, I'm checking daily to make sure the water's right and everything's right so we can actually have practice. Pool covers. We spent this past year, it was last October, we spent over $10,000 to put new pool covers on there to not only save the heat from leaving the pool, but it will save for evaporation purposes. It will keep the Liberty County water bill lower than it normally would be because we have the covers in place. Saving anywhere from 10 to 15% on your water costs just because of having those covers on. I'd like to think we've been very good, provided some service to the community. In April, I met with the director of the Parks and Rec. I actually offered him, we had some discussions last time I was here about lifeguards. Some of those lifeguards that I mentioned, or some of the swimmers I mentioned to you, were available to be lifeguards. I offered 6 lifeguards up to the Parks and Recreation Department if they were interested. They didn't take me up on it, but I had those caliber of people interested in working for the county. Oh, by the way, all of them teach swim lessons and volunteer to teach swim lessons in their free time. I've also offered up to the Parks and Rec Department, I offered to coach a community swim team here in Liberty County for free. Just wanted you to know that was available. I said I would put it together and run it for free. I have not heard back about that. What's that? I have not talked to the Board of Education. For the community swim team, it was through Georgia Parks and Rec. So I talked to the director about that. I have been in communication with Assistant Principal, is it Wilder, at Liberty County High School about Savannah Swim Team funding for the first couple years, funding a swim program, fully supporting their swim program until they get on their feet through facility and through coaching and monetary funds. So that offer has been made. We're going to put together a more formal offer to the high school and to the school board in the very short future. As Mr. Brown said, we provided discount to Liberty County residents. And something else I'm extremely proud about. Anybody that's walked onto our pool deck, we're open to anybody from any county in any financial means. We've never turned anybody away from our team because they could not afford to swim on our team. Our teams provided goggles, uniforms, swimsuits, equipment, entry fees to people that could not afford it. And I'm very proud to say that Coach Joe and I have done agree on this, and we'll continue to that will be our philosophy continuing forward. We have had a few challenges. As I said, hey, our goal was to build a world-class program that Liberty County in Midway is proud of. Some of our challenges during the summer schedule, this past year, we have not been able to practice in the evening as much as possible. I'm hoping to work through some of those issues with the director. Unfortunately, last year, when we could only practice 2 evenings a week, I lost about 25% of my team. Some people just can't practice in the mornings. So I lost quite a few swimmers since I wasn't able to have evening practices. And holiday schedule, unfortunately lately, the county has not been able to provide representation at the pool for us to practice during some of the holidays. I'm afraid world-class athletes practice almost every day. Michael Phelps, famous swimmer, he's famous for swimming 5 years straight without missing a day. Our swimmers miss, our competitors are just getting ahead. So I ask if there's any chance, any possibility for some help in scheduling, it would be very much appreciated. I have 3 families here that are represented, all from Liberty County, the Pittman family, the McLaren family, and the Phelps family. And Mrs. Phelps asked me if I could submit, put some information that she into the briefing that she wished for you guys to read. And by the way, I want to say, hey, I don't think you've ever heard of anybody heard any complaints from the Savannah or issues with our team? Our team, represented by 3 swimmers here, could those kids been any better during the meeting? They sat there, didn't say a word. I tell you, great kids, great families, and they represent Savannah swim team in and out of the pool with just class. It's a class organization. The parents and the staff are just excellent. And I'll leave it at that. I appreciate you giving me the time to talk. I'd love to answer any questions.
Any questions? I don't have. Yes, sir. Pretty much the same. All right. Thank you for your presentation. The kids are well behaved. Good job.
And the parents wanted me to say, if you have any questions for them, they're happy to come up and answer any questions if you wish to speak to them.
Wish them continued success. On to the Olympics.
That's right.
Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir. So we'd like to ask the board if he'd go ahead and renew the contract facility use agreement. The date did change because of tonight's date, obviously, but it is for 12 months.
Mr. Chairman, I just had a question concerning the contract. On there, did we just add that fee for the employee?
No, ma'am, actually.
Has that been on there?
Yes, well, actually what's been happening is the reimbursement of expenses, and this is why it's simplified. Each month, the recreation department would actually look to see which employee had offer assistance while the facility was open, and they had varying degrees of wages based on seniority, and so they had to do a tally each month. That would then be tallied, sent to Mr. Jones and those to look over, and then they would remit payment. So yes, short answer, yes, that fee has been on there. It's just been paid differently. This flat rate will help them know what a standard will be going forward. Now, the overhead rate has not been there, but as you know, in all of our contracts for this, we do have that overhead charge.
You think that that's something that maybe the recreation department could help him with as far as the holidays? I know it.
So we've had the discussion about
the person have to be there?
Well, we've had the discussion about the holidays. So while we couldn't require a county employee to be there on a county holiday, what I did ask the director to do, and we've agreed to do, is to say, look, there may be some county employees that would like to work to earn some overtime, which would be reimbursed, obviously. So we're going to start extending that offer to the county employees to try to make them available if they want to be without forcing them to be.
So a county employee has to be available on deck whenever it's open?
As long as our facility's open, liability-wise, there has to be a county employee on.
Are they on deck? They're not wandering around?
They're actually, depending on whether it's the facility manager, he may be wandering some with his other duties, but there is somebody there on site while the pool is open, right? It meets the requirements that the county attorney and others have been concerned about with liability.
Is that person, I'm just asking questions because I need to be educated. Does is that person a lifeguard, or is just an employee that's just hanging?
In some cases, it's a
Just
lifeguard.
there.
Yes, yes, ma'am. In some cases, it's a lifeguard. In some cases, it is a facility manager that's there for that facility. In other cases, it may be actually the pool certified operator that's there. But there, and that's the reason we wanted to try to standardize that for both parties to make it easier. So that's how we
Okay.
came up with the flat rate.
Most of
Okay.
the time, it's a recreation department assistant,
Okay, okay.
most of the time.
So it has to be someone, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
County employee.
county employee.
Right, but what I'm saying is a county employee in a recreation department or just a county employee? I'm
Really-
the
yep,
the
yep.
reason why I'm asking that question, I'm just trying to see what their duties are while they're there. Are they, if they're just there for legality and saying that we just have to have a county employee on,
Needs to be somebody, yes, sir, I'll answer. It needs to be somebody that is a county employee that's familiar with that pool operation.
okay.
But they have no, I will say this, they're not pool operators. Most of the time.
Right.
Even the lifeguards are not pool operators. In fact,
Okay.
I think there might only be one in the county that's certified
That's correct.
pool operator. So most of the time in the 10 months,
Presence.
except for the summer season, we're getting a rec department person that's not, they're not a lifeguard and they're not familiar, most of the time, they're not familiar with the pool. In fact, they're coming to me, I'm a former certified pool operator. They're coming to me asking questions. So if there's issues with the pool, I go to them and they call up whoever they need to call.
Okay,
They need to be a recreation department employee.
yeah, okay, I got it.
Okay, right,
Good.
I was just trying to figure out, I understand you were saying that liability. I was saying if it's just that.
Legalities.
Liability and contacts and, well, liability has got to be a county employee. Secondary, it needs to be somebody associated with that department that's over the administration of that department.
Okay, because,
that makes sense.
if we just needed a county employee and they reimbursing, man,
Yeah.
technically, I'm a county employee, right?
I had a question I wanted to
I got
ask
time
while
off
we're wrapping
sometimes.
on that thing. Legality and whatever else you want to call it, liability, but if the employee's there, who's liable if somebody gets hurt?
Well, I mean, obviously, there's a couple things. They furnish insurance as part of this contract. So as that would happen, everybody would get sued. Now, who would be liable in the end? You know, we own the pool, they're using the pool, we'd both be brought into the lawsuit and somebody would decide. So actually, who would be ultimately liable wouldn't be necessarily clear, but we would all be sued, and that's the reason we require the extra insurance in there
I
for
think
them
in
too.
there it says, we won't hold you, I think in the contract, it says, we won't hold
I
you
mean,
liable.
that's on you also.
But, yeah, you won't hold us liable, but
You're right.
Plaintiff-
really written
plaintiff
here is
suing
not,
everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is not exempt in court, so.
okay.
Our swim team's covered by USA Swim Insurance for these things.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah, so there's double coverage, basically.
So, I
Mr.
mean, it's the swim, and it lists the Liberty County Pool as part of that.
Yes.
Liberty County's listed as an insured.
Yeah.
And that's what's required on, yes, sir. We ask on all these type things that they list us as additional insurance.
Well, liability and legality can be, I understand it being legal, you gotta have somebody there, but
Three
if
on.
somebody gets hurt, it's the county liable and the swim team are gonna share the,
Could be, even though we got somebody there. Yeah, could be.
so that's what Commissioner Frazier was saying. Anybody could be there, or is it that we're providing?
It's not just about having somebody there, it's about having the right person there that understands the contacts in the division that runs that operation.
Okay.
Yeah, having somebody there from building maintenance or from permitting and zoning or county commission, no offense, would not have those, would not know it needs to be done in an emergency situation necessarily.
And at this particular time, we have one person that's qualified, is that what you're saying?
Well, you've got one certified pool operator, which is what you only need for 2 pools. I mean, that's fine. There's no state requirement you have one for every pool or anything. In fact, he actually helped, if you remember, the city of Hinesville with the water pad. But yes, we've got one certified pool operator, that's correct.
Mr. Chairman.
And those are, I'm sorry, those are the people, you say certified pool operator, they're the ones that are responsible for making sure the chemicals are balanced, making sure they're there for the state inspection reports that go, and things like that. So they're not actually functioning the pool every day, and the pool does not have to have one every day to open. So it's somebody that meets those state certifications.
Good. Chair, entertain a motion.
Second.
Well, y'all were ready, huh? All in
Keep up the
favor,
good
show of
work. I'm gonna come
Board
watch y'all.
appointments.
Okay, we ready, Mr. Chairman.
We need to take, did
Thank
we
you
vote?
all.
Yeah, we've
We
had,
approve? Okay, you're good.
the
Let him stick around a little bit longer.
the selection committee, we didn't meet in person, but we did meet electronically over email, and we're ready to make appointments for the Development Authority and for the Board of Elections and registrars. On the Development Authority, majority vote, we recommend Marcus Sack.
And I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, motion secondly, we reappoint Marcus Sachs Development Authority. Any further discussion? All in favor by show of hands, please. Mr. Sachs is reappointed. Thank you, sir.
On the Election Registrars Board, also, by majority decision, you want them one at a time or all of them at the same time?
All the same.
My county administrators, have we done, we better do them
One at a time?
one at a time, I think, Commissioner.
Okay,
Safe side.
okay, by majority decision, we, recommend John McIver be reappointed.
Got a motion? Motion and second, we reappoint John McIver. Any further discussion? All in favor, show of hands, please. Mr. McIver is reappointed. Next.
And by majority decision, again, we, recommend Ms. Linda Martin.
Linda Martin, is there a second to that?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, show of hands, please. Ms. Martin's reappointed. Serving a long time.
And also by majority decision, we recommend Ms. Sharon Terry be reappointed.
Sharon
She's
Terry.
in my district, I'll make a motion, we put her back in.
All right, second?
Second.
Second, all in favor, show of hands, please. Ms. Sharon Terry is reappointed. Enjoys that.
Also by majority decision, we recommend that Ms. Stephanie Woods be reappointed.
Second. Stephanie, motion and second to have Stephanie Woods reappointed. Any further discussion? All in favor, show of
My
hands.
friend.
Harold Woods' daughter.
Okay.
You got a friend?
And also, Mr. Chairman, we, by majority decision, we recommend Ms. Vicky Cook be reappointed.
Vicky Cook reappointed.
I second the motion.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor by show of hands. Ms. Cook's reappointed.
Okay, and we received letters from the Democratic and the Republican Party. The Democratic Party, they support, and we recommend McKesson Stafford be reappointed.
Chair, entertain a motion. Let's see, did we vote on those, or the, these are the appointments? Okay.
Okay.
Party makes.
But we received a letter of support from the Democratic Party for McKesson Stafford Jr. or Senior, and we received one from the Republican Party for Greg McDougal.
Have a motion for reaffirming the receipt of those two names.
So moved.
Second? All right.
I didn't.
Yeah, we're reaffirming that we did receive the names.
Yeah.
Yeah. All in favor, show of hands, please. All right.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, what I was saying earlier on this, you know, this public notice was advertised on the 19th and the 26th in the Post-Courier. And the people, I mean, you know, we may have had the people that wanted to be reappointed, but it could have been 50 people that saw that and applied. And it says in black and white, Donna Hugh made sure that it's for a 4-year term. Now, you know, the staggering and all this and all that, I mean, that's something that we can talk about later, but that's what these people applied for. And that's what we just appointed him for.
Okay. All right. Duly noted.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
is that it?
Yes, sir. That's it. Otherwise,
Mr. Brown,
administrative updates.
where are we with the license for our EMS service coming over to the county?
Yes, sir.
I'll see y'all, I'm going to.
Apologize. I had some conversation email-wise this week with, about getting some of the language drafted to send up to the state to consider during this term of legislation, a change in that law that would allow those licenses to be transferred versus forfeited and then had to reapply. If you remember, that's what we were trying to achieve. We've had indication from General Assembly they would entertain that. And so that language is being drafted so it can be considered in Atlanta.
So what we're looking at, what length of time are we roughly looking at now? Just don't. I won't
Well,
hold it
so
over your head.
if you think about it, and the General Assembly passes that, is allowed to pass that, it would happen during their next term, so it'd be no later than March that it would be approved, if not before, since it might be local. Well, actually, it'd be a statewide, but let's say by March. And then, depending on the active date that's put in the bill, it could happen immediately after that.
Okay.
And the only other avenue that's out there, if it doesn't pass and the law's not changed, and I know you remember this, it would basically be for the license to be turned in, so to speak, on a certain date. And then it basically comes up for a zone application, and we would apply for a zone application in that. And then the EMS council in the region would make recommendation to the state on who to award the license to.
Okay.
Any announcements?
One note, just the mayor's Thanksgiving celebration. I think y'all got a copy of that on Sunday, November the 20th at 6 p.m. at the Cathedral of Praise Church. The master ceremony, Pastor Richard Hayes. And I did have one last thing, if we could go into executive session and look at land acquisition. It won't take me just a second.
Okay.
Just an update.
Chair, entertain a motion to go out of regular session, executive session for land acquisition. Second? All in favor? Sure.
limit.
It's gonna cost some money. Back to school. I'm sorry, I missed it.
Second.
Oh, you done?
Second already.
Okay.
We just need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
These are my final days of being vice chair. So,
Oh, yeah, that comes to me.
yeah, it's coming in. That's good.
Yeah, you had a chance to do it one time and you missed out.
I
Hey, and then
We gonna vote on it? I'm ready to go.
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second, all in favor, show of hands. All right.
There we go.
Thank you, sir. My brain was.